Hey guys, what's happening? I'm sorry I haven't been able to get my recaps done the last couple of days. I got a couple of emails from people wanting to know what happened. But Wednesday, that's when we have our classes here in the community, and then I ended up doing a webinar Wednesday evening, so I didn't get a chance to do a recap video Wednesday. Yesterday, I put everything together and said, let me lay down so I can clear my head and all of that. And I laid down and didn't get back up. So kind of missed that window I had yesterday. So I'm going to do it here this morning before the market opens. And hopefully you guys that were looking for these things, you'll forgive me this time because, life happens, especially now. This is like the third week that my family, we're all been just stuck in this house. And we're used to going places and doing things, especially on the weekends. And we're not able to do that now. So it's starting to take its toll. When you get confined in a space for so long, even you're with your loved ones, you're going to, that desire to want to get out and go and you can't, just kind of makes you a little crazy. So that's what we're dealing with here too. So just a little bit of everything. But we're gonna get through this. It's just gonna take some time. All right, so here's a statement. I'm just sharing this with you because I had used to have to tell myself this all the time in the beginning. Is that everything comes to you at the right moment. You have to be patient. Okay, you have to be patient. If not, you may miss it. That window of opportunity that you have, you may miss, or you may just give it up because of whatever. But you have to be patient, and I had to keep telling myself that. And all my life, I've had to tell myself that because early on, I was very impatient and I wanted things now. I didn't want to have to wait. But as I got older, I learned that sometimes when you get things and you're not ready, it's going to do you more harm than good. Because there were a lot of things that I just cried for and ended up getting early, and it turned out to be the worst possible thing that could have happened to me. So, I wanted to make sure that I give you this little nugget because this is, just what I had to tell myself every day. Just be patient. Everything's gonna come when in the right time, when you need it, and when not just when you want it, but when you need it, and when it's gonna be the most effective for you. And I just stayed consistent, kept working, and that time came. So just something that you could put on your monitor or something that you could tell yourself every day. All right, so this is Wednesday. This is Wednesday's trade on AAL. We didn't get the opening range, obviously, and I was trying for some trend continuation. Yeah, the I could have entered here on the bounce once we broke the high of this candle, but I was being a little more conservative. I was waiting for a candle to close above these levels, and then once it did, catch it on the next bounce. Get as soon as this candle broke the high, that candle jump in. That's the more conservative entry on trend continuation. The more aggressive entry is catching it here as soon right after we broke the high of this candle and we're over all these moving averages. The more, and you can see, the more aggressive, the more money you can make. It goes with that saying, with great risk, with great risk comes great reward. And yeah, when you risk a little bit, you're gonna make a little bit more money. But the thing is, your accuracy can suffer because you're kind of, being a little bit more aggressive. That's the one thing that will hurt or would suffer would be your accuracy, because a lot of times if it doesn't confirm, it may just keep going in the same direction. But you could see with this candle here, it held a 20, but it tested the 9 and the 100 and just came back. And so, that's a good sign of strength. And it would have been A-OK to get in right here. But these markets, the market conditions that we're in, just has me a little bit not shook up, but a little bit more conservative. So that was the trade on AAL. And then BA, this one, we got in perfect entry. This is the more aggressive entry that we were talking about previously. But you could see we had a really nice hold of the 100 here. We tried to push another little bullish setup, and once we got over the I was really going over the 20. I wasn't even dealing with the VWAP, but we closed over the 20, and so I felt really confident getting in. I wasn't worried about it closing over the VWAP at this point. So we got in, hit my first target. I thought we were on our way. It pulled back real quick, stopped me out at break even, and then it went to breakout. And I, like a fool, was sitting here and did not get back in. This was a really, really big mistake. I hesitated, and you can't hesitate. When your setup happens, when it triggers, especially when it triggers twice, you got to take the trade. You just have to take the trade. You can't worry about what if it doesn't work. That's not the worry at this point. If you're going to worry about what doesn't work every time you take a trade, then you're not going to be a successful trader. And you're going to get to the point like I was right here, where I missed a very, very lucrative trade because I was worrying about what if this turns around, or what if it does that, or what if it does this. And you miss the trade. So you can't let that doubt come in your mind. I know this market is tough. And you get some really good moves, and then the market just dumps all over you. And it gets frustrating, but that's part of trading. And so we have to work through those things. But I wrote in my journal what the mistake I made here. And it was a very costly mistake. Not that it took me red, but it would have been some really good green there. So this was Wednesday. So we only made 306.67. Could have easily been $1,000 day. Easily. But just did not capitalize. All right, so MU, this was the earnings trade. We did talk about this in the webinar Wednesday night, but this was just like the day before we did on NKE. But it did exactly what I was looking for a stock that I want to take long. Okay, this pull back going into the close. What happens is the market trades ahead of time, so to speak. It's anticipatory in nature. So where we're trading now is where most people believe the market's going to be 6 to 8 months from now. So we say the market is anticipatory in nature. It's anticipating where the next move is going to be. Now I know I always frown upon anticipating a trade. That's because you're trading on your expectations, not on a proven strategy. You don't have a trigger that you just enter. It's kind of almost like a mechanical trigger that you just enter. You're being a little bit more intuitive, and you're having an expectation. You're trading on an expectation. And you don't want to do that, especially when you're brand new and you're trying to establish yourself in this industry. You never want to start to get into that. But what the market does, or what big money does, is it may know that this thing is going to pop up. They'll know already. And believe it or not, these guys know what the guidance is going to be ahead of time. Most of them know. So the big guys will know, okay, guidance on this stock is good. It may not have the strongest numbers or financials, but the outlook is great. And that's what the market is trading on. Not whether it beat earnings or revenue this for last quarter. It's, okay, where is it going to be down the road? And that's what we're looking for. That's the research that we're doing. Our due diligence when we're looking to trade these is, do we have guidance? And you've seen over the last couple of weeks, these stocks have suspended their guidance, or they pulled their guidance going into this upcoming earnings season, because they're not going to hit anywhere near it with this virus thing. So if that's the case, they're going to need to kind of protect themselves from having weak guidance and the stock gapping down. They need time to reassess this thing and come up with a plan. And so, on this one, we saw that the guidance was good. The forecast was going to be good. And so we got in. And this one, I typically get in before the market closes. But for some reason, I was having all kind of issues Wednesday with internet and the orders going through slow. So I actually clicked the button before the market closed. And it didn't get me in until after 4 o'clock. So I honestly thought I had missed this. But then the order popped up, and then there it was. But you can see we got the first move on this. Didn't quite get to 48. That was where I had my next target. It pulled back. And I had to stop out because number one, I had to do a class. So I can't really sit there and watch and trade this. So I had to get out of it. But, other than that, I might have been able to just leave it on and kind of keep an eye out. But it never did get to 48. It kind of stayed. I think it made a high of 45.75 yesterday. So it never really made it. But we were able to profit on this, pick up $1,188.10. So not a bad trade on that. And so yesterday, this one was on earnings yesterday, aftermarket. And I know you guys, some of you asked me about this in class yesterday, and then some asked about it in chat yesterday as well, in class Wednesday night and in chat yesterday. But I told you I wasn't going to trade this one because the ATR was like almost $17, and it's a higher price stock. And if it doesn't go the way that you would expect it to go? Are you looking that the strategy is saying that it should go? You could lose a lot of money. You won't be able to manage that risk, and you may end up losing more than you want to on this. So I just didn't take it, but we had it up and we were looking at it, and based on everything, my call on it would have been long. All right. But all of a sudden, going into the close, the market rallied. I mean, it had a big bump. Everything was running up. Everything started running up at that time. And what happened was it threw off the setup. Now here it was setting up perfect for a long trade. And then the market came in and did its thing. But the key thing I want to point out here, this stock did run up because you did have people buying it that knew, hey, the guidance was good. This thing is gonna, give us a good pop. They didn't take into consideration what the market had done. And at the last minute, right at the announcement of their earnings, they came out and said that they're suspending their guidance. They're not going to release their guidance. So they didn't do it like the other people did ahead of time, where you would know that if they said they weren't going to release their guidance, I wouldn't even look at trading this. And they know a lot of people probably wouldn't have looked at trading it, but they held it. You had people lining up and trading this thing. Look at the buying that came in on the last candle. But the rug got pulled out and this thing just didn't go. But this is one of the things that I was trying to warn you about in the webinar, dealing with earnings. You have to be ready for this. And it's just one of those things that you want to look for. Because as you can see, not having good earnings, just having good earnings is not going to help drive this thing. It's all about the guidance. All right, so we're up on yesterday. The first trade out of the gate was on MU. This was on earnings. It had gapped up, but you could see lower high. This one at the open did breach this just a little bit, but you could see we sold off. We made a lower low. And so the mistake I made on this, I got in right before 10 o'clock. So I was in that first 30-minute window on the opening range breakdown. What I need to do and what the deal is on stocks that have a wick this big is use the body. When you have a wick that's longer than the body, you go and you use the body. Now, I probably would have gotten stopped out. No, I wouldn't have, because it never did would have taken me to my max loss. But I could have waited and gotten in, and it probably would have been on one of these two candles. I would have gotten in, and I would have been trading the standard 5-minute opening range strategy. And this is where I can be counterintuitive, and I can outthink myself and cause myself to not make money. So all I have to do is, when the setup triggers, take the trade. And that's something I have to keep telling myself as well. When the setup triggers, take the trade. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. You have to take it, because that's the only way you're going to get the real true data from your trading. Is you have to take every setup that comes your way. If it's on your watch list, if it was something about that stock that didn't trigger it to be on your watch list, then that's a different story. It should have never been on your watch list. But if the stock is on your watch list and it sets up, that means this stock has the potential to make the move that you're looking for. Take the trade. I don't care what's there. You got to take it. And so I've got to subscribe to that mindset again and keep it fresh. Because I waited, as you can see, and when it broke this, I got in and pretty much got stopped out really quick. And then this thing just ripped up the rest of the day. It did pull back in, but it wasn't a really easy trader. And that was kind of the way the morning started. Then we got ZM. ZM was kind of a continuation. Again, this is the 5-minute opening range high. It would have been a no-brainer to get it down here off the body. But I don't think I was watching this at the time. I think I was watching MU. So I didn't catch this until we broke out over here. But after 10 o'clock, the strategy states it has to close above this level. And then the next candle needs to break the high, and that triggers an entry. This is like my after 10 o'clock. This really wouldn't be trend continuation. If you were trading it on trend continuation, you're really late. You're extremely late. So this was based off the opening range high. I just had to do the after 10 o'clock deal where I wait for the candle that breaks the 5-minute opening range to close. And then I'll move up. But I don't know if any of you have picked up on this or not. But I actually, and I didn't catch it until I did my reflection, I actually marked the wrong candle. This candle here, this red candle here, is the opening candle. But I marked this. So I'm kind of fortunate that this did work out the way it did, to where I was able to catch profit. It did hit my first target, which was around high day. And it pulled all the way back in on the second candle and stopped me out. And then the next candle ripped right up, but it never did get to the second target. So it did run out of steam there. And that was as much as we were going to be able to get it. But just not a good clean day yesterday. Not a good clean day on Thursday. It was just, it was like I was scratching. And I was just kind of missing things. But fortunately, this one worked. And then we got BA. And this really told me that I was off my rocker. Because I got in here. I'm getting ready to put my profit target in. And instead of doing a sell limit, I did a buy limit. And it ended up adding to my position. I'm like, I'm close to my target to sell, and I ended up buying. So I do it again. I'm getting ready to take profit, and I'm doing a market order here. I'm getting ready to take 150. I was going to take half. I was in 300 shares at that point. I was looking to take 150 shares off, take half off. And I bought again. I didn't sell, I bought. So I added to my position again. And then I'm like, you know what, shit. Let me take 250. Let me take half this stuff off and then let this thing go. So I did take half off up here. We got the bounce and went right up to the daily 20. We identified this pre-market. The daily 20, this was where my target was. And for you keen-eyed guys that were looking at the earnings trades from the past couple of days, you saw a BA position on. That's what I was holding for the announcement, because I figured we can make a ton of money on the announcement. Because BA is the president's pet. And he's been talking about it, pumping it. So I know BA is going to be well taken care of when this goes through. So we got the, it did hit the 20, and I'll show you that since it's been there front and center. But it hit this target, and then this turned around and came back and stopped me out at break even. But this was a decent trade, and you can see yesterday we had a halfway decent day again. Still not as good of a day as I would have thought we could have, but we did have a decent day. 422.02 to go with the $300 we made the day before. I feel it's a pretty good trade. All right, so on to the BA. So I got in this trade earlier this week, and I was waiting for the announcement. And this is a 100% intuitive trade. There's no strategy. It's just all fundamental. It's all a fundamental thought process into 100% intuitive trade, and the type trades that you can make and will be making once you get your foundation down. Because you have to understand what moves the market and a clear understanding of it, and be able to accept risk, knowing that, hey, in order to in order to make the money in trade, you're gonna have to accept the risk. So that's kind of the point I want to make here, and why I wasn't really talking about this is it's not something that I'm teaching everybody right now. Now, yeah, once you get to a certain point, and we've been working together, and I know what you can do, these are the things that I teach you. I teach everything I do, everything. But as a teacher, I know I can't give a beginner or give people who haven't been able to grasp the most fundamental of day trading concepts. I can't come and give them, show them how to find these type of trades, because it can blow their account up. It's just like with the earnings. You got to have some foundation, and it needs to be really strong, and you need to have your discipline in check. But what this was, I was waiting on the announcement. I was waiting for it to, and I felt when the announcement came, we'd be able to run up to 180, 150, which is, it wasn't that price when I got in. It was actually higher. But this started coming in every day. It was coming in and coming in, and finally we hit it. So I had to take the profit there. So that's what I locked in today. I took 300 shares off of it, and we've got it locked in. So I'm waiting on the announcement. I'm waiting to see if it's going to gap up toward 200. Now we took this at 95, little 95 and some change, Remember we were talking back when this thing was around 100 that I was going to buy this and add it to my long term because Boeing has a company here in South Carolina. I like to be vested in stocks that are vested in South Carolina. So, that was my mindset there. But I thought that was a really good fundamental level to buy it off of 100. But we ended up getting a little bit better. It did drop down to 89, but we got it at like 95 and some change. I can't remember the exact entry. But we're really looking good because I think BA is going to get back up towards 300 or better before it's all said and done. This company has really strong government ties to defense. So they're not going to let this company fail. It's going to come roaring back. But we've got, let's see. So we locked in 16 grand, almost 17 grand on it. I thought, as I said the other day in my mind, that this could be a 25 grand trade. And, I think that's what it may turn out to be. It may, because you see, if I locked everything in today, this is what we would have been at. But it may be greed. I think we can get the rest. But we'll see how the day goes with the vote and all of that good stuff. I know that we'll be kind of looking for that. All right, guys. So that wraps it up. I think I'm caught up. Sorry, it took a while because I had to catch up for 2 days, but that's that. Hopefully I've got too much going on today, so I don't know how the trading is going to be. I've got to move my daughter back. We got to go pack up her dorm room and move her back home. We got a 3-hour window that we signed up for. So we've got to do that within 3 hours. And she has rooms by herself. So it's got a lot of stuff in there we got to load up and bring back. So I've got that stress on me. And my AC, the condenser fan, went out yesterday. So I got to try to get somebody in here to replace that. I mean, normally I would do it myself, but I got to take care of my daughter today because we had to. They made us sign up for times, specific times, so that they could stagger people coming and moving out. So got to deal with that. So one a hell of a way to start the day, but we'll get it handled. So you guys take it easy, and we'll try to make the best out of today.